My name is Ava Mitchell, and on the surface, I've built a life that looks perfect. From the outside, people see a polished woman who walks into boardrooms with heels clicking like a metronome of confidence. My office overlooks the city skyline, glass towers reflecting the sunrise, each one catching fire in golden light. On my desk sits a crystal vase of fresh lilies, a quiet indulgence I allow myself every Monday morning. I tell myself it's just flowers, but really it's proof. Proof that I've survived worse than most people could imagine. But the truth? I didn't get here without scars. Some are hidden deep, stitched into the quiet corners of my memory. And one scar in particular. It begins at 2 a.m. with a sound so small most people would sleep through it. The faint creak of my bedroom door, the whisper of fabric brushing against the floor, and my sister's shadow moving where it didn't belong. By the time I woke up that morning, $15,000 was gone. Vanished. My bank app glowing on my phone like a cruel spotlight. And my sister, Paige, looking at me with eyes that held no apology, only fear that I'd tell. That moment changed everything. And now, years later, as I sip my morning coffee in a silk blouse and watch the city breathe awake, a single message lights up my phone. Her name, her number, after all this time. My heart stutters. My fingers tremble, just slightly. The past I buried is standing at my doorstep again. I was 21 when it happened. Still living at home, still piecing my life together after community college, still believing that family was supposed to be my safe place. That night, I'd fallen asleep with a book on my chest, the glow of my bedside lamp still burning low. Sometime around 2 a.m., a noise stirred me, the faint click of my door, the softness of feet dragging across carpet. My eyes fluttered open just enough to catch a sliver of movement. A shape I knew instantly. My sister, Paige Mitchell. She was 2 years younger, restless, impulsive. The kind of girl who carried secrets in her smile. I wanted to call her name, but my body was heavy with sleep. By the time I blinked again, she was gone. My purse sat slightly ajar on my desk, a detail I would only register with horror the next morning. When I woke up, sunlight poured across my room, warm and merciless. I reached for my phone and saw it immediately, the flood of notifications. $15,000. Charged. Spent. Gone. My heart slammed against my ribs. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook so violently, I nearly dropped the phone. I stumbled downstairs, confronting Paige. She was at the kitchen table, chewing on a piece of toast like it was any other morning. Paige, my voice cracked, you used my card. Where is the money? Her eyes darted, wide, guilty, then cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Our parents came in at the worst moment, catching only the shouting. And instead of support, instead of justice, the blame twisted. My father's face hardened. Ava, maybe you shouldn't leave things lying around. Paige wouldn't do something like that. The lump in my throat nearly choked me. My own family choosing denial over truth. The betrayal stung worse than the loss itself. That afternoon, I ran to my grandmother's house, the only place I ever felt understood. She listened quietly, holding my trembling hands in hers. And then she pressed something into my palm, a small silver locket she'd worn since her 20s. Inside was a faded photo of her younger self and 3 tiny words etched into the metal. Carry yourself through. Money can be taken, Ava, she whispered, brushing hair from my tear-streaked face. But your worth? That's yours to guard. Don't let anyone steal that. That night, I lay in bed clutching the locket, making a silent promise. I would not let this moment define me as the girl who lost. I would become the woman who rose. The day after I lost that money, I opened a new bank account in my own name. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell Paige. I didn't tell anyone. If they could overlook the theft, then I had no reason to trust them with my future. I worked 2 jobs that summer, mornings at a small cafe on Main Street, nights stocking shelves at a pharmacy. My hands blistered, my back ached, and there were nights when I'd collapse into bed with the scent of burnt espresso clinging to my hair. But I kept moving. Every dollar I earned, I tucked away like a secret. By fall, I enrolled in night classes for digital marketing. I couldn't afford a fancy university, but I could afford knowledge, and knowledge felt like armor. The first weeks were brutal. I'd stare at the computer screen until my eyes watered, clicking through software that seemed designed to break me. More than once, I almost gave up. But then came Mrs. Delgado, my professor. She was in her 50s, sharp as glass, with streaks of silver in her hair and a voice that carried authority without cruelty. One night after class, she caught me lingering by the door. "You work harder than anyone here," she said. "Don't waste it doubting yourself." Her words lodged deep in me. Mrs. Delgado began giving me extra assignments, pushing me harder. She became the mentor I didn't know I needed, strict, but also the first adult who truly saw my potential. Within a year, I landed my first freelance client, a local bakery struggling to bring in customers. I built their website, created ads, and watched with pride as their business grew. When the owner handed me my first $500 check, I nearly cried. It wasn't the money. It was proof. From there, doors began to open. Slowly at first, then faster. By 24, I had built a roster of small businesses who trusted me. By 26, I was hiring help. I kept my wins quiet, posting only modest updates online, careful never to reveal the scale of what I was building. Meanwhile, my family assumed I was just getting by. They never asked for details, and I never volunteered them. Paige would roll her eyes when I mentioned work. "You and your little laptop jobs," she'd say, as if it were all some hobby. I bit my tongue and smiled. Let her believe what she wanted. Behind the scenes, I was growing something real. A consulting agency with contracts, a team, and eventually office space downtown. I remember the first time I unlocked the glass door with my company's logo etched across it. My reflection stared back at me, not the timid girl who once cried over stolen money, but a woman who carried herself through. And every time I doubted, I touched the silver locket around my neck. My grandmother's words echoing, "Money can be taken, but your worth? That's yours to guard." I was guarding it, and I was winning. It was a Tuesday morning when my receptionist buzzed me. "Ms. Mitchell, there are 2 women here asking for you. They say they're family." My stomach dropped before I even asked their names.
Paige.
And my mother. I took a slow breath, smoothing my silk blouse with trembling fingers. It had been nearly 6 years since I last saw my sister face to face. 6 years since she'd looked me in the eye after draining my account. And now here she was. "Send them in," I said, my voice steady though my pulse thundered. The glass door swung open, and there they were. My mother looked older, her hair streaked with gray she'd once sworn she'd never allow. And Paige, she looked thinner, hollowed out. Still beautiful in that reckless way, but with shadows under her eyes, the kind you earn from choices that chew you alive. They stepped into my office, their eyes darting across the room. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the space in golden light. Framed awards lined the wall, Marketing Excellence, Entrepreneur of the Year. A sleek black desk with brass edges sat centered, my nameplate polished, AVA Mitchell, CEO. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just stared, as if trying to reconcile the image of the sister/daughter they dismissed with the woman standing before them now. Finally, Paige cleared her throat. "Wow," she whispered. You work here?" I let the silence hang, savoring the disbelief in her voice. Then I smiled, not cruelly, but with the kind of calm you earn after years of carrying yourself through. "No, Paige," I said softly. "I don't work here. I own this." Her mouth fell open. My mother blinked rapidly, as if her mind couldn't process the words. "You own this? This whole office? This company?" my mother stammered. "Yes," I replied, gesturing around me. "Every inch of it. The team downstairs, the contracts we manage, the revenue, it's all mine. Built from nothing. Built from me." Paige's face flushed, her lips pressing into a thin line. I didn't know." I leaned back against my desk, folding my arms. "Of course you didn't. You never asked. Why would you? Back then, you and Dad were so quick to believe I was careless. That I made up the theft. Do you remember that? My mother's eyes dropped to the floor. Shame flickered across her face. Paige shifted uncomfortably, finally meeting my gaze. For the first time, I saw something that almost resembled regret.
Her voice was smaller now.
I need help, Ava. Things are bad. I wouldn't be here otherwise. The irony nearly made me laugh. The sister who had stolen from me, the family who had turned their backs, standing in my office, surrounded by the empire I had built in silence, asking for help. I walked slowly toward the window, looking out at the city sprawled below. My heels echoed against the polished wood floor, each step a reminder of the distance I had traveled to get here. Then I turned back to them. You want help? I said, my voice calm, but firm as steel. Then you're going to hear the truth first. For years, you thought I was weak, that I was naive, careless. But that night, when you stole $15,000 from me, Paige, you lit a fire I couldn't put out. You pushed me to stand alone, and because of that, I am who I am today. So yes, I have the power to help you. But you need to understand, the balance of power has shifted. You don't get to walk in here and pretend we're the same sisters we once were. That girl is gone. The room went utterly still. Paige's eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. My mother pressed a hand to her lips. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one trembling. I was the one in control. Paige finally broke the silence, her voice cracking. Ava, please. I don't know where else to go. I made mistakes, I know that, but I'm drowning. I need money. Just for a little while. Her words landed like a bitter echo of that morning years ago. Only back then, she didn't ask, she took. I crossed the room slowly, stopping in front of her. She looked so much smaller than I remembered, as if life had been chiseling away at her. And for a fleeting moment, the sister in me ached. But the woman I had become, the one forged in fire and betrayal, she held firm. You want my help? I said evenly. Then here are the conditions. Paige's head lifted, eyes wide, desperate. First, I said, you tell the truth. Out loud. Right here, right now. You admit what you did. You stole from me. $15,000. I want to hear you say it. Her face flushed crimson. She shifted in her seat, glancing at her mother as if searching for a lifeline. But I didn't blink. I didn't soften. Finally, her lips parted. I stole it. I stole your card. I spent the money. And I lied. The words trembled out of her like shards of glass. Good, I said quietly. That's the first step. Second, if I give you any support, it won't be cash. I won't feed another addiction or reckless spiral. I'll fund something real. Education, counseling, a job training program, something that builds you, instead of breaking you. That's the only way. Paige's eyes welled. That's fair, she whispered, though her pride seemed to burn swallowing the words. I turned to my mother, who had remained silent, her shoulders curled inward. And you, I said softly but firmly. You stood by while Dad dismissed me. You chose comfort in denial over standing up for truth. That hurt me more than Paige's theft ever did. If you want a relationship with me now, it has to be built on honesty. No more silence. No more choosing the easy lie. Her chin trembled. She nodded slowly, tears spilling down her cheeks. You're right, Ava. I failed you. I should have believed you. I inhaled deeply, letting the moment stretch. I'm not saying yes. Not yet. These are the terms. If you want my help, you have to show me you're willing to do the work. I will not carry you, but I will walk beside you if you choose the right path. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Paige let out a shuddering breath. I'll do it, whatever it takes. I studied her face, searching for sincerity. And though doubt lingered, I saw something I hadn't seen in her eyes since we were kids, a flicker of humility. Maybe even hope. The balance had shifted. For the first time in my life, I wasn't begging them to see me. They were asking me to guide them. And this time, it would be on my terms. Weeks passed before I saw the first signs of change. Paige enrolled in a local program for business administration, a far cry from her reckless nights of spending and running. She texted me photos of her assignments, almost shyly, as if waiting for me to scoff. But I didn't. I encouraged her, the way no one had encouraged me at her age. My mother began calling, not to pry or excuse, but simply to ask how I was doing. At first, I kept my guard up, answering with short phrases. But little by little, I allowed myself to soften. She started telling me stories from her own youth, the dreams she had shelved, the regrets she carried. And for the first time, we began speaking as women, not just mother and daughter. I didn't forgive everything overnight. Healing isn't a switch you flip, it's a door you open slowly, cautiously. But something inside me had shifted. For years, I had carried anger like armor. Now, I was learning to carry something else, strength without bitterness. One evening, after locking up my office, I sat at my desk and opened the small silver locket my grandmother had given me. The photo inside was faded, the engraving worn, but the words still gleamed. Carry yourself through. I traced the letters with my fingertip, remembering the night she pressed it into my hand, when I thought I had nothing left. I realized she hadn't just given me jewelry, she had given me a compass. And it had guided me here. The truth is, Paige's theft had once felt like the end of me. But in time, I understood it was the beginning. Without that betrayal, I might never have built this life, this empire, this self-respect. Pain had been the spark, and resilience had been the fire. I closed the locket, tucking it back against my skin. Then I whispered the words I needed to hear most, the ones I wanted my voice to carry out into the world. They may take what's in your hand, but they can never steal what's in your heart unless you let them. And I never will. The city lights glittered below me, each one a reminder. I had carried myself through, and I always would.